Hey guys, Space Guru 5 here. Well, the Q&A has been over for about a month now. I figured I might as well just start to get into answering all your questions now. So without further ado, let's start. First question. Why is society full of douchebags and why are nice people in the minority? It's hard to say. Many variables are at play here. For instance, it could be blamed on parenting, the environment some people grow up in, what some people believe, or it could simply be traced to personality disorders. I can't say for sure why we have douchebags in society, but I just know that for many varying reasons we have them. I wouldn't say society is replete with douchebags, but I will concede that there are quite a number of them in this world. I think 4 of them attacked Charlie Hebdo. Anyway, as for nice people being in the minority, I think the answer is much more blatant and clear. I think society is quickly losing its share of nice people because modern parents don't teach kids to be nice. One of the reasons I'm nice is because my parents taught me to be nice to other people and they corrected me when I wasn't. I think you guys might be able to tell how they corrected me. Of course, one of the major problems we have these days is that corporal punishment is slowly being phased out because people think it's too violent and can lead to children being too violent themselves. Well, I call bullshit on that because I was spanked as a child and look at how I turned out. Now I suffer from the horrible condition known as being respectful to other people. I'm not saying that we should beat the shit out of our kids, but I'd at least appreciate it if people actually punish their kids when they act up in ways that they shouldn't. Use whatever works for you. It's better than not doing anything when their kids act up. That's what allows them to grow up to be douchebags. If punishment's not working out for you, just send them to military school or something. Second question. Gil, do you think that the world has gone to shit because of societies and people being scared? I see you're interested in my thoughts about society. Well anyway, like your previous question, it's hard to say why. Some people could argue that it's always been shit, though that would more likely than not come from people born before Gen Y, which is my generation. I can tell you that I have the opinion of people born before Gen Y. I think the world's always been shit. It may have been less shitty in years past, but there was definitely some bad stuff going on even 1,000 years ago. Black Plague, anyone? Anyway, there are many factors at play in the conflicts going on right now. Religious tensions, wars, battles, massacres, political tensions, the history of the world in years past, economic problems, and society. God, this fucking music! I just can't be focused right now! Just shut up! Well, anyway, getting back to the question here. I thought I told you to shut up! Let's just get on with this. It's because of all those things that people generally don't trust each other, some of which pick fights with people they've had previous issues with, or even who they don't agree with. There's no single answer to why the world's been going crazy. It all just depends on where those conflicts take place and why they take place. However, I believe the world can get better if we teach subsequent generations not to repeat our mistakes and to improve the world. But then again, society's full of douchebags anyway, so we're probably screwed. Question 3. Any advice for upcoming commentators? Well, here's a start. Don't do commentaries on things that happened even 2 years ago unless that thing is still going on. For the love of the commentary gods, don't use overrated memes unless you're going to do something different with them. In the words of Hobbes, try to be different, dare to be different. Find commentary material on your own rather than relying on bandwagons. Seriously, we have more than enough commentaries on Gup till 89. Most importantly, don't let the naysayers get in the way of your experience. That should be good. Question 4. Who is your most hated YouTuber? Now that is tough to say. I have quite a few YouTubers I would dislike, but I don't know whom I dislike the most. I would say Real William Johnson, but he's already quit. I would say Fred, but let's be honest, he's been irrelevant since 2010. I think for now I'm going to say that my most hated YouTuber is Michael Dragon 800. Because he's never moved on from his mistakes. I won't love being Gup 89 with him because he's trying to improve. Michael Dragon is not. There's also Chris Chan, but I don't even think he's on YouTube anymore, so he technically may not even count as a YouTuber. That said, I think I'll just stick with Michael Dragon 800. Question 5. What kind of video games do you play? I tend to play sandbox games like the Little Big Planet series, though I usually use it to create music. Music games and applications are my forte, no pun intended, so I love to play the Ensemble Composer Pro app on my phone. My all-time favorite music game is the MTV Music Generator, also known as Music 2000, on the PlayStation. I've been playing that since I was 3. Of course, I like to play other games as well. They tend to be games from the 2000s and before. The oldest game system I have is the NES, while the most recent system I have is the GameCube. Mind you, these are the ones in my room. I play them on a good old tube screen. I don't do it to be retro, although you could say I've been going retro since before it was cool. The most recent console in my house is the Xbox One, though I never really played any games on it. I also play handheld games on the 3DS since some fucker stole my DSi a couple years back and it led to the worst birthday I ever had, but I do it every now and then. I don't do it as much as I used to, mostly because there was so much to do on my DSi that I just spent all day playing with that. I use Flipnote Studio the most on it, and I'm still waiting for it to show up on the 3DS. Seriously, Nintendo, you already have it out in Japan, just give it to everyone else already. We've been waiting for months and months and months on end, and we'll be furious if it turns out to be one of those fucking only in Japan things. Anyway, I think I've rambled on about that for long enough. Question 6. Who are your inspirations to make videos? When I first started on YouTube, my inspirations to make videos were Jeepers Media, Jogwheel when it was known as JPizzle1122, Fred, and Ezworld. Not too long after this, I discovered the Ranter community, so I began to watch Brawlmaster 08, now Brawlmaster 12, Cyberwolf 087, and most of all, Youngblood Fantasy 92, now Youngblood Fantasy 91. A couple years later, I began to watch Dose of Buckley and MScola 1 more often. I think that covers my inspirations. Question 7. What do you think of Mr. Epsilon, Nigahiga, John Scorcher, PM Rants, Undertaker Freak 1127, and the Archfiend? Alright, since this is a list, I'll basically answer it like a list. So, let's get started. I like Mr. Epsilon, though in light of recent events I only appreciate him for his outspokenness, especially when it comes to religious issues, Onision, and controversial matters such as masturbation, which is not rape. I like Nigahiga because I perceive his humor to be wacky and unconventional. Moreover, he beat Fred out of #1 most subscribed a few years back. What's not to like about that? I've never heard of John Scorcher, perhaps I'll look him up some other time. I like PM Rants because he states his opinions in a way that I find comedic, even though I'm aware his reputation has been damaged in recent times. I like Undertaker Freak because he's much more blatant about his opinions. I admire how blatant and outspoken he can be about things like anarchy, Ted Nugent, bad parenting, and so on. Plus, he kind of reminds me of a mix between my friends Sam McClung and Killer Fox 88, both of whom I know in high school. Well, maybe that's just me. While I like the Archfiend, I do sometimes feel like he can be a bit whiny about things. I also feel like he sometimes blows things out of proportion. For instance, see his video about Dose of Buckley stating that YouTube has whiny rules, even though that wasn't the focus of the video and it was included as a pot shot against YouTube. Yeah. Well, that's it for all the questions. I appreciate all the questions I received, and I hope you guys accept the answers I gave to all of them. I hope to make more Q&As in the future, though certainly not right now. That's it for today, everyone. Take care.
And be safe.
No.